What happened and is happening to them has nothing to do with the will of God, but with the survival of the fittest. God knows the ones He makes the strongest. In any event, after having spent half a year dealing with their bureaucrats, we were able to conclude all the formalities. On July 29, 1529, the legal papers for the capitulation were signed in the absence of Carlos V by his mother, Juana la Loca. However, I still had to recruit the men. But I found no one to hire. Many had died in the wars with Italy, and most had already gone to the Indies. I figured I could get them in Trujillo. It had been more than a quarter of a century, 27 years, since I left Spain. I wanted to go to the place where I was born. I was an hidalgo with all the privileges that a king could bestow on a man of humble beginnings like me. I was somebody. I wanted to meet my half-siblings. Hernando Pizarro, whom I knew as a child and the only legitimate son in our lineage, was 30 years of age. My two younger brothers, Juan, 23 years old, and Gonzalo, a teenager, both from different mothers. I also found out that I had a brother from another father, Martin de Alcántara. What a family disorder, in those days not a good situation to be in. Hernando was a noble on account of his legitimacy, but he was not wealthy. The others were destitute, and very enthusiastic to come to America. That is why in this encounter, you find me praying in this ancient cathedral of Trujillo. Not a bad idea. To come to the place of my childhood to form a concept of myself. That was the main reason for my trip to the Old World. Trujillo is a beautiful city. The people treated me well, especially Señorita Magdalena and Dona Toni, who introduced me to one of your present grandnephews. What does he look like? He is of average stature, well-learned, and cautious in his speech. I made the mistake of greeting him as a direct descendant of yours, since you were the object of my spiritual visit. To which he corrected me that he was of the lineage of Hernando Pizarro. Perhaps letting me know of his true ascendancy. At least, I thought so. I don't want to misrepresent him. After all, I am an Indian with a past that needs to be explained. I was invited to the house of Dona Toni to have tea with your distant nephew. We talked till late hours of the night. I wrote a short essay to keep in perspective on how I felt about him. Let's hear it. What I composed is something personal. I may not make justice to him. You know how proud the Spaniards are. Yes, just like the Indians and mestizos. Perhaps you have the right to be. You were the conquerors with a questionable past that needs to be answered, whereas we, the conquered, have a trajectory of humiliation that must cease. Nevertheless, this is what I wrote. Noble descendant of conqueros, you made me feel different, not because of your lineage, but for the forthrightness of your thoughts. You said that our problems are ours, and not yours. I would agree in the present, but not in the past. For your forefathers subjugated the essence of our ancestors, embittering our souls. It is time that your people accept us. Francisco Pizarro did, by taking Inés Huelas Yupanc, an Inca princess, as his wife, siring Dona Francisca Pizarro, a mestiza and a niece to Hernando Pizarro, with whom he married when she was 18 Aprils, and he 52 years old. To which he answered, Hombre Americano, since the conquest of Mexico, our lineage has inherited Indian blood, and I am not ashamed of it. Did you discuss all these matters with him? Yes, and his last statement is the irony of our encounter. He could have rejected the mingling of his ancestors with Indians, yet he chose not to. Contrary to the mestizos who do not accept their Indian heritage, they only embrace the little Spanish blood that is in them. I see that you still have ambiguous feelings toward us. You have been living in another country for so long, when are you going to forget what happened? I will, when the condors cease soaring to the unreachable mountains of hope. You are talking nonsense. Perhaps our encounter doesn't make any sense, but my trip to your place of birth did. The two ladies of Trujillo showed me your old city to understand its past, the crux of my visit. Pizarro's, Orellanas, Santiago, Santa Maria, an endless rosary of places and names etched in history. This hamlet was the cradle of our conquistadors, and it also conquered my heart. Gracious Señora Duran and vivacious Señorita Galeana, you showed me your city that I so timidly carry in my being. With devotion you spoke of your Lady of Victory, who protected Trujillo against the Moors. But she will not help us to get rid of our demons of the past. Over ancient stony paths of narrow streets, we ascended to the door of triumph, from where I could see the green meadows of hope. Oh! Arco de Santiago, through its arches daring men left to the Indies. With that legacy for the unknown, I also dared to venture to faraway places. Not to conquer, but fleeing from my past. Oh! Trujillo, like your storks, help us descend gracefully from the treacherous peaks, and like your ravens croak to the world, I have nothing against the mother country of our disgrace. Trujillo of Spain is ours, because we carry that city in our souls. Trujillo of Peru is yours, because Pizarro's bones are in Lima. Man of the future, in anger, you can express your repressed feelings disguised with words. But deep in your soul, you would like to say, down with Spain, the stepmother of the Indians. No, Don Francisco. It is time that we all become one people, because that is what we are. Do you hear me? I am offering you the olive branches, so that the Indians are part of mankind. What you are saying will only lead you to the impossibility of accomplishing your thoughts. Then what to do, Don Francisco? Your meek ways will get you nowhere, and why I am a man of actions. By the way, talking of action, it is time that I return to America before some son of a bitch goes to Peru or worse, my partners go there on their own. But, there are more obstacles that I have to overcome. The Council of the Indies promised me 250 men, 150 from the crown if they were true in their offering, and 100 to be obtained in the New World if I could recruit them. Instead, they gave me 6 priests and 50 black slaves. They procured me 4 ships and 50 horses, but no money. It is half a year since the capitulation, and all I have are more priests than I need. Not only that, they told me that I could not take Moors or Jews, of those there were many who wanted to come. They changed their names, I was able to bring them, and you could be a descendant of one of them. They also told me not to take those who had been prosecuted by the Inquisition. Valgame Dios. I wouldn't do that. Pedro de Candia, are we ready to leave? Capitan. Not yet. The inspectors have to certify that the ships are seaworthy, and if we have all the men before we can depart. That will take time, and we don't have enough men. What to do? Hernando, I have to leave in the smaller boats with just enough sailors to man the sails. You will stay with the big ship and the greater number of men for the final inspection. I will be waiting for you in the island of Gomera, where we are no longer accountable to the crown. Thus, with the capitulation of Toledo, a document that today would be worth no more than its weight in paper, it gave Pizarro the right to go and usurp an empire. What an injustice! Vamos! Man of the future! That is the way it was.